With the increase in more transmissible COVID-19 variants, we need to know more about some groups of the people in the US who are hesitant about taking COVID-19 vaccine and still face some barrier and issue to getting this life-saving vaccine. This is Falah Rashoka, a doctoral student and MPH candidate, and today I'm going to talk about COVID-19 vaccine hesitancy among refugees and immigrants in Nebraska. So let's start. According to the most recent American Community Survey, the racial composition of Nebraska was about 87% of them white, 4.8% black or African American, while the racial composition of the Nebraskan with two or more races 2.6%, and Asian represented 2.3%. Other races 2.1%, whereas Native American about 92%, Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander 0.07% of total Nebraska. About 1 out of 14 Nebraskans were born in another country, which is 7% of Nebraska residents, which considered born outside of United States. In addition to another 7% of Nebraskan residents are native-born U.S. citizens with at least one immigrant parent, according to the American Immigration Council. In 2018, almost 113,000 people in Nebraska, which is 7% of state population, were born Americans who had at least one immigrant parent. An analysis of the U.S. Census Bureau in 2018 American Community Survey one-year database done by the American Immigration Council found that 94,000 of foreign-borns are considered essential workers in Nebraska. Their occupations are as follows. About 20% of those foreign-born or refugee and immigrants are working in manufacturing companies such as mechanical shops and other essential companies that provide a daily service to Nebraska. Whereas 13% of those working in construction such as street construction and other factors. In addition to the 11% administrative and support, waste management and renovation service. 10% of those workers are working in accommodation and food service such as meat packaging company, whereas 9% of those immigrants and refugees who work in Nebraska were working in healthcare and social assistance service such as nurses, community social worker, and community cultural center. Why refugees and immigrants have been impacted by COVID-19 virus compared with the white? There are more hesitancy among this group of people when it comes to the COVID-19 vaccines. The simple answer is because there is a cumulative factor that contributed in such disparity, and that is clear when we look over COVID-19 data. Those factors include socio-economic factors. Socio-economic factors among refugees and immigrants include income, education level, employment, social support, which can significantly impact how well and how long they will live. These factors affect the refugee and immigrant ability to make healthy choice, offer medical care, housing, manage stress, and much more. Second, access to the timely health care. Inadequate access to the timely health care, in addition to the lack of health insurance and language barrier, increased accessibility. Neighborhood, community safety, and having COVID-19 site in the area negatively impact the residents and where you live matter. Misinformation. Misinformation, especially social media that worked as a factory for distribution of misinformation and conspiracy theory, led many refugees and immigrants to be hesitant in taking COVID-19 vaccine, and that led to the high number of the cases among this group of people in Nebraska. Finally, cultural factor. The cultural factors include social gathering, religious belief, and other factors that can impact those communities. There is an urgent need to address the COVID-19 pandemic and COVID-19 vaccination uptake within the state of Nebraska. To improve COVID-19 vaccination rate and assist Nebraska local health department in identifying those at the high level of unawareness, misconception, and hesitancy with receiving COVID-19 vaccination, I will shed a light on the refugees and immigrants in this document. It is very important to know reason behind hesitancy in taking vaccine and how to give the proper educational plan, especially with the new COVID variants including Omicron and previously Delta virus that impacted high numbers of individuals from these communities. Based on the personal observation of the refugees and immigrants and two focus group work through the We Create Health Lab with Dr. Megan Kelly and community assessment surveys that had been done through the summer to the Center for Reducing Health Disparity, where 316 individuals participated in the survey. Out of 316 individuals, 182 indicated that they were born outside of the U.S., with almost 16 of them from Iraq, and 37 of them from Vietnam, and 23 from the federal states of Micronesia, and 15 of them from China, and 6 of them from Guatemala, whereas 6 of them Syria, and 1 of them from Iran. And this study is finding based on this online survey and focus group observation and has several findings. Those findings included in the following. Based on this study's finding, about 38% of the study participants and those who were observed mentioned that fear of the vaccine safety and adverse side effects was behind their decision of not taking COVID vaccine, whereas about 15 to 16% of them mentioned that lack of trust in governmental responses to COVID-19 viruses was the main reason behind of the not taking the COVID-19 vaccine. Additionally, about 10% of them mentioned that the effectiveness of the vaccine, and they thought that the vaccine had been in the short period time, and they are hesitant about its effectiveness. Nevertheless, about 10% of them found that misinformation behind their decision of not taking the vaccine. Not having health insurance led about 50% of participants in these studies to not take the vaccines. Furthermore, not having transportation and conflict in time between the work and clinic time led another 50% of the participants in this study to not take COVID-19 vaccine. So all those factors has contributed in vaccine hesitancy among refugees and immigrants in Nebraska. In summary, it is important to reduce health disparity when it comes to the pandemic, specifically COVID-19 viruses, and controlling over this virus will help increase. In summary, there is many factors that contribute to the vaccine hesitancy among refugees and immigrants, including socio-economic factor, inadequate access to the health care, such as not having health insurance, the neighborhood they live in, misinformation, and cultural factors. Also, there is some factors and barriers behind not taking the vaccine, including mistrust of the healthcare system, transportation, not having health insurance, misinformation, and some other factors. At the end of these videos, you can see the references that I use to create this video. Thank you so much.